Hollywood, mate. Connelly. Welcome to Arm Wrestling Tonight with the double bias subsidies and the contract and legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. And we're appearing on camera right now on the Arm Wrestling Tonight show. The esteemed colleague to my right, I don't know if it's to your right, it's camera right for me, but it is none other than the co-host, the co-founder, the co-breather of air, the co-wearer of clothes in this very room. It is none other than the King of Sting, the Count of Monte Cristo, the Master of Disaster. It is Thunderlips, the ultimate male. It is none other than the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year award. It is in the back there somewhere. You will pull it out one day. It's hiding in the background. It's not quite on the level as the left-handed trophy.
No, it's not.
We will get to that. We'll have the $100,000 prize pool of all that trophy.
It's gone up. I hear.
It's gone up. Fantastic. It does go up every year. It's like a jackpot. However, it is none other than the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year award. As we said, the illustrious award held by the illustrious man with the illustrious beard. It is your friend and mine. It is Dave Stockbridge. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much for that very warm welcome, Hollywood. Matt Connelly, it's always a joy to join you here on Arm Wrestling Tonight, your 5-night-a-week, 30-minute podcast coming to you live from our bedrooms or our spare rooms, I think, in this case. I think for all of us. So, and the man on screen right now, he really is an arm wrestling show. He is the one man that's almost seen it all and in person. No one over the last several years has had their fingers on the arm wrestling pulse as the man on screen right now. You may know him as the Aussie arm wrestler. We affectionately recall him as being Jake Ward. We love you, Jake, and thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast.
What's going on, you Dead Set legends? You know, I always love hanging out with the both of you, having a chat, and yeah, it's been a while since been traveling and just talking everything arm wrestling. It's just non-stop lately. Had a nice little break in December. I didn't do too much. I even left halfway through King of the Table. So that's I just needed that little refresher, that little break. So back in the swing of things, and boy, oh boy, what a year I think we're going to have.
Yeah. There was a funny little period of time there with both yourself and Ryan Bowen kind of going dark on social media there, taking some time out, and it really left a hole in a lot of arm wrestling fans' life. And but it's also fair to say that, you know, arm wrestling, although it's been a big part of your life and a huge part of your journey, you know, moving forward, you've been doing some things in maybe sports that our international guests might not know so much about.
Yeah, I'm always looking for the next thing. I'm big on challenges. I want to keep moving forward. I want to challenge myself. And so last year, I started commentating Aussie Rules footy here in Australia. And that just seems to be really blowing up at the moment. So I had a really good first year. You know, the connections and contacts and networking that I did just in a year of local footy, and for people that, you know, the level of footy that I'm commentating on a weekly basis, I don't know, it's maybe Division 3, Division 4 in the Premier League. It's, to compare it to arm wrestling, it would be like probably the division below, like East versus West Challenger Series, you know, where like former elites come to finish out their careers, or elites that were injured and couldn't fulfill the professional way, come make, you know, $800-900 a week kicking a footy in a paddock. So it's just been phenomenal. And I think it's going to be a massive year for me. What that means for arm wrestling, I'm not sure yet. But the first, 23 days of the year have already proved, it's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. When you say it's coming, what do you feel is on the horizon?
No, big time. Big time. You know me, Dave. I don't mess about. As soon as I step foot in the first commentary box and they hit the record button, funny story, the bloke I commentated with, we both almost got the sack before I commentated my first footy match, just so you know if you want that story. It was. I'll tell it anyway. I'll try and make the short term because I know it's a short show. I was pumped. And off we go. So I go to my very first footy game. I'm up and about. It's Good Friday. My wife's messaging me on the way. Good luck. Send me the link. I want to listen, rah. All the camera and everything set up. I'm there in the commentary box. Got the cans on, sound check. And then I'm meeting who I'm calling the action with the first time. And, we're having a talk. And he's not in the best mood. He's not in the best mood. And he proceeds to explain to me how unorganised the company is and how bad this has been for round one and how things could be better, during our sound check. Anyway, I'm like, oh, okay, look, it's my first day. I'm just pretty pumped. Shame that's happened, but I've had nothing but good dealings, with the bloke. Hopefully can have a beer with him afterwards. Anyway, and he goes on another probably 90 seconds of it. So I check my phone. And it's my wife messaging me. I thought, oh, another lovey-dovey message. Those that know me know I love me. And she's like, we can hear you on the stream. So then I've still got, because we've got the mic on. And so then I show the bloke my phone. And he's just gone, we both quickly took it off and pushed the button because they were filming the end of the last game to make sure the vision and the stream and everything was good. And I thought I almost lost my footy career before it even started, which was almost a good sign. It's been taking the same parallel as my arm wrestling career, because my arm wrestling career almost finished on the second episode of my own show.
What happened there? Well, I'm not familiar with this story.
So many years ago, my first guest was, our beloved mate Ryan Bowen. He's always willing to help out. My second guest was Mike Aiello. If you're not familiar with Mike Aiello, allergic to wearing a shirt, built from granite, killer dude. He pulled Juji Mufu on the WAL series on ESPN. New Yorker legend. And we had this ripper episode. This was when I was more uncut, uncensored. I'm talking about the size of his genitals and telling him to get fucked. And, you're not worried about YouTube guidelines or building relationships. This is my second episode. We had this killer show. Goes for about an hour and 10 minutes. There's Mike Aiello there. Yep, on the left. There, look at him there. Bloody hell. There he is with Larry. Good, real good dude. And
this Larry looks small.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden forgot to press the record button.
Oh.
So I'm like,
damn.
Mike, I'm so sorry. And he was like, no worries. I made a public apology on Instagram and everything. And Mike was great, and we've spoken all the time ever since. He's the one bloke I know that's been banned from Instagram at least 11 times. He's given up now.
He's given up on his band.
There's horrendous memes. Well, he did. And they were hilarious. If you ever want a guilt-free laugh, because no one else was around. So you were like, this is a pisser.
Oh man, I've seen a few compilations on YouTube of people hitting the record button thinking they were hitting the stop button, that the episode had finished. And it's them going, oh, that was great, so good, what an amazing 3-hour talk.
I remember the Australian Arm Wrestling Federation. When I did some work for them in the early days, I had access to their YouTube channel, so if I ever wanted to do a show or upload videos, and during the lockdowns with my old work, to keep the staff happy and excited, I'd play Deal or No Deal live on the computer. So I'd be on the computer. I'd record Deal or No Deal, me playing it. And if you had the $1 million briefcase, I bought you a coffee or gave you a free personal training session. And if you were last, we all got to laugh at you or something like that. Was just keeping people entertained. And when I was using OBS, I accidentally pressed start stream, not start recording. So on the Australian Arm Wrestling Federation channel, I'm playing Deal or No Deal, talking about people from my work. And then about 20 minutes in, I was like, oh, yeah, I stuffed up here. Stop, delete, get off.
Yeah, there's so many things that can go wrong with the podcasting side of things. I mean, especially when you're doing remote stuff and you're trying to get a connection, and maybe the other person has a bad connection, or they've got their audio too loud, and you're hearing their speakers, and you're just like, why am I getting an echo sound? And you can't figure it out halfway through. And yeah, there's so many different things that can be affected just by a simple act of streaming a podcast. It's much more difficult than people can think it would be.
Yeah. Crazy. I mean, I've got about 1 million of those stories.
What I'm keen to ask you, Jake, how's it felt being the voice of the sport over the last 5 years? And how did all of that originally come about?
It's been phenomenal. Life-changing. It's been pinch yourself moment every single time. I never took anything for granted. I mean, right before Christmas, I had a guaranteed 7-8 bookings, and like that, things change. Magic, they're all gone. You know what I mean? So I never. Well, I hope
What's
I
happened
never.
there? Well, yeah,
like Engensball King of the Table. Boom, there goes 4 bookings. Other promotions go through the same phase that I see everything happen, and make mistakes, get some egos, but that's life. That's arm wrestling. I'm used to it. But so then to be at so many events over the last 2 years and so many different promotions, and having another no word of a lie, another 35 promotions inquire, and hoping to get sponsorship or raise money to get me over to host their event. That's when something around, when they've got an elite athlete in their own country and they want to get this weirdo from Australia. And just like everyone else, and it's a big thing I've been encouraging, just start a YouTube channel. Mine was, I started YouTube and Instagram, and I became big on Instagram, and that was through a suggestion from my brother while having a shit.
Didn't everyone confuse you with the other Aussie guy?
Early days. A lot of people thought I was Aussie Man Reviews. Look, I could do with his kind of money and fan base, but because back then, and I cringe a little bit when memories pop up and people send me videos because could you commentate mine? And there was this one from America. And I used to get so excited, like, oh my God, these people want me to do voiceovers. How good's that? And this one guy, no word of a lie, 45-second video, and I dropped the F-bomb 7-8 times. And I'm not much of a swearer in general, but that was my point of difference that was getting people engaged initially. And then it was Steve Kaplan from WAL that made me do a 180.
Oh, really? What do you mean? In what way?
So I don't know. I didn't know any rules about anything when it came to copyright and whatnot. What I did know was WAL. That's my favorite league.
Yep.
I loved it. I lived it. I breathed it. I remember having hip surgery and not turning on my phone for 24 hours because WAL Championship was going to be on YouTube the next day, and I didn't want the results ruined. So anyway, that's how I met Paul Lynn. Here's Paul Lynn. Bang, and this, that, and the other. And so this guy named Jamie slides in my DMs, and I had a look, and I was like, hey, he goes, Steve Kaplan wants your email address. And I was like, and I turned to Jess, and I was like, Jess, it's over. It's over. This is the guy who makes the matches for WAL. He's going to tell me, because I didn't know where to find arm wrestling content. I knew where to find WAL. And so I'm like, oh man, it's all over again. And so I get an email. I've still got the email. I'll never delete it. And I wonder if I can quickly read it word for word.
Oh, that would be great. It's a bit of arm wrestling history. I feel like we're being exposed to here.
So email comes in. I've got it here. Steve Kaplan, WAL. Hi, Jake. I asked Jamie Barsh to grab your email for me because I wanted to write to let you know that I'm a huge fan of your arm wrestling clips commentary. I watch them all and love your point of view as a fan of the sport. Stay healthy, Steve. Steve Kaplan, President, World Arm Wrestling League. And then, so I replied, oh my God, my dream is to commentate for the WAL. That was my dream. Next to Neil, WAL, ESPN, we're on. So I tell that to him. And this is where he changed everything to me. He writes, maybe announcing WAL after dark when the kids are put to bed. Pints on me whenever you're in the States. And we haven't been able to catch up since. But that maybe announcing WAL after dark when the kids are put to bed. I was right. I'm clever. That no swearing. I'm clever enough without swearing. I don't need to drink beers during my podcast anymore. The elites are wanting to come on the show. I've got the main guy from WAL wanting, and there were talks about me going over to WAL. So from there on then, swearing, Instagram, I was still able to do it for a bit. But if you notice, I very rarely do it, and I very rarely swear anymore on the podcast. I will never swear during commentary. But it was that email that really changed a direction. And Steve Kaplan from WAL, I've got to thank for that. And it's just skyrocketed from there.
Did your swearing levels increase outside of commentary?
I was still playing football then. I still had a couple of years left in me. So there was plenty of swearing going on. I am more like a chameleon. Like I've got a group of mates and everything is F and C and F and C, F and C, you know, what's going on, you know. And then there's other bits and pieces, and I can just adapt to where I need to be, and taking the professional route, whether it be not swearing in commentary or when a company does you bad and everything. It's so easy to rant and drag someone through the mud, but I sit there and have to swallow my pride and go, right, hold off, and it's paid dividends. Like a huge story right before, not sure if I'm ready to share that one publicly, but the night before Devon Levan won, it was going nuts. We were getting calls from Dubai. It was going ballistic. I can share the story with you guys off camera. But I stayed professional, stuck to my guns, and onwards and upwards we went. And yeah, I've had a very busy last 18, 20 months.
Yeah. Well, it's when I explain you to other people in terms of the context of Jake Ward in arm wrestling, I kind of say it's like, imagine if Joe Rogan commentated on all of the fights, like if it was boxing, MMA, like just imagine he did all of the promotions, all of them, and that's Jake. Jake is the voice of, like Joe Rogan does the UFC, but if it was Bellator and won championship and did all of those, you're the equivalent of that fictional character who might be able to do that. But it's so peculiar that you be the voice and the face of so many presentations. But not only that, because you are quintessentially Australian, and so for you to, not have to, accommodate your accent or to change who you are to be as acceptable in Northern Europe as what you are in Northern America, as what you are in a pub in Ireland, as what you are on the stages at Dubai. It's a very peculiar thing in any sport to have achieved.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I've never been called that before, and I really appreciate it. It's different. I mean, you guys have both been in an event where I sat on a chair at the gym telling the athletes to hurry up while commentating. We were at Garage Wars with Andy and Mario's old thing, and it was just taking forever. And I was like, hurry up, But the accent has been my point of difference. The location has almost been my Achilles heel. I'm a very proud Australian. I love being Australian. And when you're the Aussie arm wrestler and ready bang and understanding it, a lot of people really just don't understand how how commentary works. I've been blessed to have a knack for it. I know when to rein it in. I know when to explode. I know how to feed people. I know how to make my co-anchor look like $1 million. I know if I'm the play-by-play guy, the color guy, the anchor. But then whilst that's my point of difference and made me essentially worldwide recognized, then when people start typing in how much it costs just to fly me over, and I've got a family to feed as well as you got to pay me, that's almost been at stages the Achilles heel.
So, and do you feel in some part, if you were the Aussie arm wrestler based out of Dubai, for instance, and were easy to fly around the world, then it would make it, it would have to make it easy for you to be able to be competitive. I mean, it becomes very difficult for a promotion to think, okay, well, it's going to be X amount of money to bring somebody in, when maybe they can get somebody that's local who they'll might charge the same fee, for instance, but you don't have the flights and the accommodation.
That's
or
right. Yeah.
Associated with it.
And
none of these
always
promotions are necessarily making millions of bucks, it seems.
Yeah.
So.
And the way arm wrestling is today, I told my wife if I lived in the United States for 12 months, we could retire when I get back.
Wow.
Just the amount of competitions and everything, and for everyone to pay a domestic flight or drive me there, you know what I mean? And I'm no diva, so it's like, we save on accommodation. All right, Matt Connelly, I'm with you in Arizona. I'll stay on your couch, buddy. I'll stay on your couch. Not a problem. We'll put the spare mattress in the mood. Right, where are we going? Arizona. Oh, okay, cool. We're heading over to California, and Dave Stockbridge is going to meet us halfway. Brilliant. All right, Dave. Oh, mate, if you want to save money, let me jump on your couch. Yeah,
Ooh.
No, what a beauty. There's $250, $300 we're going to save. Not a problem.
What if you bought just a big RV and traveled around America?
There was plans.
It's a big drive.
There was plans.
Maybe get a really big one and we'll go with you.
Yeah, Uncle John and Ryan Bowen, we were going to do anywhere between a 2-week and 3-month tour.
Yes.
And instead of having a press conference or, things like that, the night before, we were going to do, and Uncle John and I were bringing this from pro wrestling. It's like you have your weigh-ins, and then when everyone's weighed in and everything, so say it's $50 to enter the tournament, you pay an extra $10, and then we do a live show on stage. So you're there having a few drinks, having a laugh, write a whole heap of questions in the middle of the table. We'll interact, and John and I and Ryan, we were going to, share stories, have a laugh, and, and then near the end, it's like, right, so if no one's filming, it can be X-rated. We'll give you all the dirt, but, if we're all going to film it and everything like that, well, then, we might not be able to answer all the questions. So some of that stuff was in the works, but then, like, I was having babies, and, Ryan and Uncle John were getting some pretty big matches, and we're more focused on that. But that is something that I would still like to do. Like, it happens here in Australia heaps. A couple of football players, they hire out a pub, charge $40, tell some war stories, and you have a few beers and have a good night. I think that will benefit a promotion more than, I think, the days of the press conference. I wouldn't say they're dead, but if they don't change something soon, it's just becoming dead air.
Now, you've held more press conferences in the sport than any other human being over the last several years.
But a couple.
so and with the biggest names in the sport, and so step me through your thinking there, because it seems that the sport is mimicking what they see in other combat sports, and they've got their press conference. Maybe it's UFC inspired. When does it work well, and why doesn't it usually not work well?
So at the moment, you've got to think about it. The diehard fans that will sit through a 3-hour press conference have already watched the podcast leading up to the match. They've already watched the 10, 15-minute interview released on the YouTube channel. They've watched every single Instagram story. They've watched everything. So then to go through another 3-hour press conference when a lot of the athletes just don't want to be there. They've had a crappy weigh-in. They're not interested in trash talk. there's 4 or 5 people that want to do the trash talk. And then even then, by the time we get to them, we're tired. Like,
Yeah.
I understand putting everyone on the panel. You don't want to disrespect any athletes. You've brought them over, and it'd be pretty embarrassing. I went, right, Dave, we're going to have your match on the press conference. Sorry, Matt. You sit this one out. And so they just go forever. They just go forever. Unless something action-packed happens that gets on to talk about, it's just another...
What are the views like on these things? I can't imagine they'd be high. I can't imagine they'd be high, the views on this. So why are they doing it?
At times they are, but they can be even better. They can be even better. You've got to think of... So if your channel... Take like an East versus West, for example. They go on Devon's channel with 1 million subscribers, and then they go on East versus West. I think they're at 250,000, which is fantastic, right? So 1.25 million. But there's only like 3,000 people watching. Now, the percentage towards that, you would almost deem that as not good. If you have 1 million subscribers, 1.25 million subscribers, I'm expecting 20,000+ watching this. And at times it goes to, all the time it goes too long. And for me, it's a huge visual. Now, anyone who knows me, every time I've been in a press conference, the athletes get a prep talk. They get a pep talk. The do's and don'ts of what to do. And I think I can manage a press conference well. So I tell them, right, when we get to a press conference, some of you, this is a big opportunity. So there's three talking points when it comes to an event. It's the main event. And if it's your high end, it's what Devon has done. Or if you're second division, it's what Ryan Bowen's done. And then there's the third one. And I tell them, be the third reason that everyone's talking about. Be the standout performer. Now, if things you can't do. You can't mention any other promotion. That's wrong. Unless you're affiliated with it. So if I'm at AWE and then I say, when I beat Dave Stockbridge, I want Matt Connelly king of the table. No, that's terrible. You guys have just paid for me and now I'm promoting another event for free. So that's a no-no. I tell them, if you're not a talker, give me 2 long-winded answers and I'll leave you alone. I can tell a funny story about that exact one right there. A very proud moment of me there. So, and as you see, it's just crash course. And the visual, I'm like, stay off your phone. I do not care if you're watching the live stream. Stay off your phone because it looks like you're bored. And if you're bored, how on earth are we going to sell pay-per-views if the athletes are bored looking at their phones? Stay off your phones and stand out. And even then, I can wrap them up in like 40 minutes and they're still...
You can see in the background there that the guy...
Somebody's just walked in on this.
Right there.
This is one of my favorite moments of all time. Got the call up, king of the table, and at this stage, it was the #1 promotion in the world. King of the table call up.
This is like the peak king of the table as far as I'm concerned.
So here, there were 3 proud moments that stood out for me. One, press conference. Right before the press conference, I told Don Adrice, he's like, oh, we're not sure what to do with the press conference. I said, give me the mic. Give me the mic. I'm going to make you look like $1 million, Don. Give him the microphone. He goes, done. All right, beauty. And Dave Chafee, which, I've got Dave Chafee on my right, Vitaly Luletin on my left. And Dave doesn't like interviews, doesn't like press conferences. He's a very quiet man. And I could see him. He's itching and twitching and things like that. And there in my ear, 30 seconds, Aussie, 30 seconds. And I look at Dave and I literally put my hand on his arm. And they're like, 10 seconds, Aussie. I said, Dave, trust me, I've got ya. You got to rock this. Follow my lead. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the space. And then away that I was going. And then afterwards, Ryan Bowen comes up to me. He's like, man, you killed it. And Ryan's really nice. But then, I'm getting messages from Devon, from Erdemis, and they're like, crushed it. Well done. Even Reddit was saying positive things about me. So then the event happened, and I could hear everything that's going on from the commentators. Well, I'll skip that story. This was another proud moment. A mate that was helping me from day one. I'm on the big stage. I got to commentate his match as well as announce him to the table and get to win. So this moment was awesome for me. And the prior moment was I didn't do any prep. I don't do prep. It confuses me. I don't like a lot of notes. I'm not that smart to remember it all. So we're about to start the pay-per-view. 3, 2, 1. Right. It's you got to hit a home run here. And I go, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the King of the Table pay-per-view. And I'm, and then in my ear, they go to Ryan Bowen. They were like, how long did Jake take to prep that monologue? That was amazing. Or I'm paraphrasing there. And then I just hear Ryan go, oh no, he just thought of it then. And then the production team just went, whoa. And then there, as I'm finishing up, I think I was introducing Schoolboy, like of all people would be the first to introduce. I was just like, fuck yeah. All right, let's go.
and I mean, how did that actually come about? How did the King of the Table opportunity happen?
So, always wanted to do it. Larry Wheels and Adam Silver came to Australia. Matt, you were there. You filmed for 8-9 hours. You were like right behind me. You were filming for Ryan. I was commentating for 8-9 hours. And because Larry was still involved then. And we did a podcast a few days prior. And he was telling me, he goes, man, you really got style. And so it was, we had a half an hour break. I think it was about 7 hours into commentating. It was half an hour break before the open division. And Larry, come here. And I fucking just shot off. Larry, buy the pay-per-view, rah. And he just turned to me. He goes, yeah. He goes, you've got it. You've got it. I like it. You've got it. And Adam Silver's like, he's like, yeah, but it costs so much money to bring you over. So I was like, okay, cool. So then I reached out to Don Adrice. I've got a great relationship with Don Adrice. So I really, really like that guy. I've got a lot of time for him. So I reached out to him and said, hey, man, you want to come on the show and give some people some behind the scenes about King of the Table? Yeah, so he comes on the show. We do a fun show. He tells me what I can and can't talk about. And so we go off air. And I was like, right, Don, what's it going to take? What's it going to take to get me to go to King of the Table? And he was like, not too sure. I said, right, two things, Don. I said, you can almost change the game of arm wrestling in one motion. And he looked at me with his good eye. Love you, Don. and the amount of times he's taken his fake eye out and put it to me, and so many good stories about Don. I said, you get me to King of the Table, and two things will happen. One, I will nail it, and you have just found a gem from the YouTube world. Not many people are really excited about the card anyway, so you can take a loss, and then you can tell the rest of the arm wrestling world, YouTubers need to stick in their own lane because Jake sucked. So we're just going with former athletes, or you get me and you've just opened up a whole other universe, and YouTubers are going to come out of left, right, and center, and everyone's going to be starting their own YouTube channel and their own podcast. I said, because I'll nail this, Don. I said, let's go. And so we negotiated back and forth, and then he said, if you can get your flight sponsored, we'll go. So I got my flight sponsored, and straight after during Schoolboy versus Carla, the opening match, he said, welcome to the King of the Table family. And then I've been at everyone until the ones I couldn't be at because I don't work in December. So I've been at seven or eight King of the Tables, which I'm very, very proud of. I've been there for some of the most monumental efforts. I was there when Denis Saplenkov made his comeback. I was there when he announced his comeback, and then I was there for his comeback. I announced and commentated John Brzenk v. Denis Saplenkov. Then from there, the next match was Levan and Erdemir. And if you ever go back in the history of time, and everyone teases Levan about the oxygen tank, there was one guy that got a microphone whilst Levan was holding an oxygen tank and asked him some questions. That was me. I even butchered the commentary. People always remember when I butchered the commentary. And then for those that are pulling John fans, I was there for Alexei Voyevoda's comeback against John Brzenk. It was, it was just some and there's so many other monumental moments that happened to King of the Table whilst I was there. But, those three are very, very nostalgic. Denis Saplenkov, who doesn't speak English, saying that he loves my voice after an interview in the Dubai reception was so cool.
And your voice has really become synonymous with the sport, and it's. I guess we're at a point now where there's seemingly more and more promotions. A lot of that action is overseas. There's more and more competition in the space as you've inspired more and more people to the microphone and more people to start their YouTube channels. So what does 2025 now look like for you?
So it was almost like I'm huge on manifesting things. Huge on manifesting things. And 99 times out of 100, they happen. So subconsciously, AWE last year was my final trip of the year. I made it and I went, this is going to be the final trip. That was a great weekend, by the way. I loved it. So I was kind of manifesting. I'm loving being at home with the girls. I'm loving focusing on other challenges, everything else that's going on, whether it be footy, cricket, whatever. So then East versus West by King of the Table. So I'm like, well, that's gone. There's 4 less trips I have to do. And then 2 or 3 other guaranteed bookings went astray. So I'm like, maybe this is a good thing. It might look bad. Aussie arm wrestler's trouble to deal with. He's not at many events anymore. But I did need the break. I've got AWE. I don't know if I can say the date, but, I've got you guys coming up.
Coming up.
Sorry?
It's coming up.
March.
Yeah.
And then,
can we say the date? I don't know.
You can if you want. Yeah.
Have we spoken about this?
Well, let's not.
Is it a secret? Is it a secret? Will it be a secret anymore?
But then I've also got Tim Talmadge with Arm Sports Entertainment. He's been really good. So I'll be there for Arizona State in June.
Nice.
Yeah. But I've got a lot of speaking gigs here in Melbourne, Australia. April to September. A lot of my Saturdays are taken up commentating footy. But then I also might be doing that 2 days a week. So it's, I loved it. Don't ever get me wrong. A lot of shit things happen, but 90% of it was fantastic. Was amazing. Like some fun stories. I'm almost at Norway. I land in Amsterdam, and then I get a call from, being told that the people in Norway said bad things about East versus West, so we don't really want you to commentate in Norway. I'm like, motherfucker, I've flown 20 hours so far. I'm commentating. Like, tell him I said go away, but in a not so nice thing. I said, I'm doing it. These guys are good. It'll be, like always, a misunderstanding. But I mean, to be to Norway twice,
Yeah.
I never go to Norway, and I've been there twice. And what Erling Midtund's done has been great. You know, I've developed lifelong friends around the globe. You know, to be able to just, you know, you wake up and you're having, and as you're boiling the kettle, you know, Devon's left you like 2 video messages on your Instagram, and you're just like, man, you know, the people that watch the shows, I love interacting. Not only do I love interacting with people that watch the shows, I love eventually meeting them in person. I've met some terrific people from it. Whether they like me now or not, I still enjoyed when I met them at the time. I found a troll and threatened to fight him. That was pretty cool. So there's been a lot of amazing moments.
Well, this is my interpretation of the journey of the last few years for you. You started off Jake Ward, you became the Aussie arm wrestler, and now you're Jake Ward, the broadcaster. You know, there's on the other side of this, it's you're moving now into a whole new space, and one that is particularly lucrative in this country. Especially AFL is, you know, for people that don't know, is massive. It's the Australian sport, and it's like NFL and the baseball combined. You know, it's massive, and Jake is now knocking on the door of those opportunities, and it feels to me, and I kind of feel like there's few apprenticeships that you could have for such a big network role, for instance, than having hosted events that literally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people end up watching, millions of people end up watching around the world, and to carry shows, because this is the other dimension to you that, you know, I think, you know, people watch network TV and they've got like 5 or 6 hosts doing it, you don't even notice. You've literally had to carry hours of broadcasting on your own shoulders without assistance, without direction. I've heard rumors that promoters will just throw you a microphone and go, well, there you go. It's all on you. Not much by way of other instruction than that, and just walk away and leave you to make up a show. And you'll do so just off the top of your head. You just do so on your feet, and somehow make magic out of those moments.
Yeah, you're pretty much bang on there. And when, you know, promotions like give me the microphone and say, right, off you go, I prefer it that way. I'm very confident in what I do. If you give me too many notes and too much is going on, it can bother me. Like I said before, I'm not that intelligent. So too much information can be overload. So I feel like we got to hit this. You got to hit that. Here's your keyword. Make sure we do this, this, and this. And it's like, don't tell me all these things, motherfucker, because I've been here a few times and nothing's changed. Just let me do my thing. Like, and so, yeah, I do prefer it that way. I've been blessed with a talent to be able, you know, some mornings I'll wake up and I'm like, oh, I probably should do a show on YouTube today. I've got the day off. All right. I don't know. And then boom, it's like, oh, I'll do this. And then away I go. I'm doing a show and off there. But, you know, whether it be the 24, 25-hour podcasts, I've just had an ability to go, to talk. And the thing is, whether people in the arm wrestling world, whether they love my commentary or they hate my commentary, the one thing I take a lot of pride on is you will very rarely have dead air whilst I'm commentating. Like, to understand when the referee's talking, if it's vital information, when the athletes are talking, obviously I stop them. But when it's my turn go and to include, if I do have a co-host, to a co-commentator, to include them and guide them and feed them the right things. And hopefully they read off the tones. Sometimes I have to, tap and go, right, off you go. I've worked with some terrible commentators and fucking dragged them over the line and brought them over. And it's just like, man, that was exhausting. You were shit, But I have, and another little project I've been eyeing on is I've thought about running a commentary course for arm wrestlers. Whether I make videos and release a few videos and people pay for them. I'm just trying to work out the nooks and crannies if people are interested in doing a short commentator course. Am I a proper expert to talk about it? Probably not, but I've got experience, that might be able to, get me over the line and at least give out some sort of good advice.
Yeah. No, I mean, commentating with you several times. It's a pleasure and a privilege, and it's just incredibly easy as the co-commentator because I know that I get my moment to talk, and then you get your moment, and we work together. And it's like, okay, well, Jake, what do you think's going to happen here? He's done this a couple of times in a row. How would you change this? Or you're asking those leading questions, or when you've got those exciting moments and you're in the middle of a big flow. It's like, I'm not going to be interrupting that. I'm going to let you do your thing. It's like, I think it takes the skill of recognizing when it's your turn to speak, when it's your turn to go loud, when it's your turn to be quiet. All of those things are very simple in practice, but people find it so difficult to just either shut up and let somebody else speak, or they don't speak at all and they get the opportunity to say something and they're either mumbling or they're incoherent or what they say is not relevant. So it is definitely a skill.
It's quite funny because like what people don't understand is where it comes to like when I am commentating and I'll be at like a king of the table and they're like, oh, Aussie arm wrestler, he doesn't really bring anything to it. He has to lean on his other commentators. And I'm like, motherfucker, do you know how I'm setting him up? So, for example, I've done a lot of work with Coach Ray. Why on earth would I out technical talk Ray when I've got Ray there? And the same Ray knows not to out energize me, not to out, quick-witted, funny one-liners and things like that. Ray knows, like you're saying, format, like if I get on a roll, just let it go. Ray hardly interrupts. And like I spent a lot of time with Ray fine-tuning his commentary. And now he's off and I think he's just gotten from the first time I worked with him and talking with him and fine-tuning some things about him has been brilliant. And I'll give you something for free for any aspiring commentators, podcast hosts, YouTubers and things like that, and answers. Your goal is to get the talent over. So many times I watch shows and they'll have a special guest on. They're called a special guest for a reason. So when you're trying to out history talk them or you're trying to out funny them or out whatever, internet makes you look bad. When every time a guest comes on my show, I've got Sergei Kalinichenko in 8 or 9 hours. He's coming on the show. And it is just all about him. Getting him the right questions. Getting him up and about. He is the superstar. Which in it makes me look better. I don't try and go out and make myself feel, outclass. And that's where a lot of podcast hosts, a lot of people that do, whether it be live commentary on YouTube or commentary at events, it's where they really, really let themselves down. There's only probably one commentator in the world that can get away with making it all about them, and that's Travis Bajan. He's the only one that can get away with it because that's
He's the
who
Vince
he
Vaughn
is.
of arm wrestling commentary.
That's right. That's who he is. Like, you kind of laugh when it's like, oh, we got this young man, Hollywood Matt Connelly, taking on Dangerous Steve Stockbridge. Oh, man, why are these bums even pulling left-handed? I'd whoop both of them left-handed at the same time. And we know, like, that's Travis being he's the only one that can do it. But when other commentators get in there, it can just, they just look shit.
I think we're going to make this our first hour-long podcast. So it might be a double episode. Who knows? So there might be a cut at the 30-minute mark with a to be continued, like an old Happy Days episode. I
go on too much. Of just so many stories. You know, I've thrown up on a Larry Wheels pay-per-view. Like,
what?
I have. So Arizona State 2023. It's 50 degrees Celsius. 50 degrees Celsius. Whatever that is in Fahrenheit. It was hot. And I'm commentating the tournament. I got Uncle John, had Jason Latona. I even pulled in the tournament. And for, I think it was 11 minutes and 37 seconds, I was undefeated in the left arm in the United States.
Whoa.
Because I'm a rock star. Anyway, so projecting your voice for 7-8 hours, it's tiring. And I get a thumping pain at the back of my skull, a thumping pain. And the only way to get rid of it temporarily is to throw up. So Larry Wheels was there, and all the finals of the pay-per-view were on Larry Wheels' channel. And so we're there, and I'm on stage with Uncle John. Love that guy. He's my guy. And Adam Warinsky's taking on, I can't remember the Armenian bloke's name. He just pulled James Wall. And so they're going at it. And I just go to Uncle John, you know, we've got hand signals. We know what's going on. Basically told him, I'm fucking off. I'll be back in a minute. Run to the toilet. And all this liquid's coming out. I'm throwing up everywhere. Wash my mouth out. Run back up on stage. Temporary pain. Off I go. And then we're getting right before Larry and Sanders, which was the main event. And I said, all right, hang on, guys. We'll get ready. John, do you want to have a quick chat with the athletes? Off I go again. You know, it's because it's 6 hours, you know, and there's been a few events, you know, over the top. I was slumped 3 rows back during the finals on stage all day. I was getting a thumping headache, 9.5 hours or whatever it was, screaming, shouting, ready bangs. And I was just slumped there, like calling the main event because I was just like, wow, okay. So I'm getting better. I only thrown up once, but afterwards, like I've been at events and people are wanting to come up and have a beer with me and things like that. I said, guys, I don't want to sound like I'm too good for anyone. So come grab your beer, sit down. I said, but I need 10 minutes to just shut up. I need 10 minutes just not to talk. I've just been projecting because like you go out there, ladies and gentlemen, Hollywood, Matt Connelly, and you scream because you want to give they never want to admit it, but when I am announcers to come and say, I'm so excited for you to announce me to the thing. That's been a goal of mine. I'm like, wow, I take that with pride. So if you're the opening match, I want to give you that Aussie arm wrestler experience. I'm so proud that you think that it's a good thing that I'm calling you in. So when you get to fucking match 16 and you're screaming and shouting in the commentary, man, I get some big headaches.
No, was that the over the top tournament? After that, that's where we went for that hunt for your car for an hour.
That was fucked. That's so annoying. It was funny. Of course it was funny. It was hilarious. You commentate for hours on end. You even jump in the after pool and then you're like, right, everyone's going to this club. And then they didn't let me in because I had bags.
Yes.
So I'm just sitting there and I couldn't find anywhere to eat. I'm like, oh, I'm starving. And Matt comes out. He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, no, man." I said, "I'm starving." He goes, "Yeah, I don't really want to go to the club anyway." So then we're walking around and got no idea where we're going. And Matt's dragging me out to this jungle of bushes. I thought, bloody hell, he's going to kill me, this weirdo. And then he's like, and then we find ourselves on the main road. He goes, "Oh, well," after we've been walking around for half an hour trying to find where the car park was. No, first we were trying to find somewhere to eat, couldn't find somewhere to eat, couldn't find the car park. Yeah, Macca's just up there. So then we walk halfway down the highway, we eat, and then we got to walk back. I've got no idea where my car is. It's a rental.
I love
Gotta
the
remember what it is.
Park. Trying to open it because, like, I remembered how I got in, but I needed to go the exact same way out. And no, I'm tired. I got to eat though, so no, that was fun.
It was great. My favorite thing was that we finally got to the car park and there was like a million. I'm like, "What color is your car?" You're like, "It's white," and every car there was white. And you're like, "Oh."
Like a primary school whiteboard. It was just,
you're just doing this for another 15 minutes.
Yeah, just trying to find it. And then after that, I had to drive because it was in the Gold Coast, and Mickey Lonkerovich lent me his house in Brisbane. So after all that, I had to drive an hour home. And
I didn't
then
have a place to stay. I still didn't have. I ended up sleeping on Tom you guys' couch.
And then after that, I've only ever been invited twice to the Fix, and that was one of them. Like 3 or 4 hours later, and then I'm on the Fix. It was me, Ryan Bowen. I can't remember who else was on there, but yeah, I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, over the top was awesome," and I'm tired, my hair's everywhere, and.
I was so hoping that it was the wrong way that we were going. I didn't want it to be the right way because I was enjoying you're suffering so much.
I don't think I had my hip replacement then.
No,
I hadn't. So I was in a man of pain. But I've got like a million of those sorts of stories. They're just and they're fun. Like there gets to a point where my tiredness and frustration turn into, well, this is going to be a fun story over a beer, isn't it? You know? The only thing that probably could have made that story the best is if I jumped in the car and like my battery was flat. Like the end of Seinfeld in the parking lot episode, the car wouldn't start. That probably would have been that probably would have made a 100% perfect story.
There you go. That's it. Well, we're coming up on the 1 hour mark. I'll very quickly just say hello to the people who have been patiently waiting in the chat. They've had some nice comments to say. We'll just quickly say hello. The Drew is always part of the staple people. He says, "Oh, we do exist," because I wasn't acknowledging them. But I'm not going to interrupt the great man while he's on a roll. We've got Aaron Castillo who's signed in under 2 different accounts. He's got one there, and then he signed in under his correct account.
No, he's got a burner account.
That's right.
We'll have a beer in Arizona then.
Absolutely. We've got the Claymore, James Stewart from the UK, who's jumped in to say hello. And
got a lot of respect for that guy. A lot of respect.
What an absolute legend.
For a story for another day.
Red Cap Man has jumped in to say hello. He says, "Let's go Aussie, ready, bang." Hi guys, how everyone is doing, and we're doing very well, thank you, Red Cap. Who else?
Dude, Red Cap.
See in here right at the bottom, I think we had a couple people that just popped in near the end. Intrinsic Media, who is Chris, who runs the production for AWE and did a tremendous job for us.
Great job. They were fantastic. The whole event was fantastic.
It was good fun. It was a pleasure to have you at the event, and we didn't realize people could hear us when we were commentating until about 3/4 of the way through. I think you made a comment on one of the athletes, and they looked up and waved.
yeah, I made some sort of, might have been about Benny the Dan ref or something.
Yeah,
and then he turned around, and I was just like, "Oh, they can hear us."
Right.
He's lucky I didn't say something negative about Marcus Atira or something. He would have crushed my head. Which LeVan tried to do. That's another story for another day. Try the crush
Oh.
mate at a press conference, like legit.
Oh, Greg Brown is challenging me to a match, I believe.
I like Greg Brad. Greg Brad is great. Great dude. Great dude, Greg.
There you go. Well, we'll have to get that happening. And this one here, I haven't seen this one before. Gert. Oh, this one's a tricky one. Gert Marindakov.
Gert on Marindakov. Would that
So
be
South African.
one of our South African friends?
I believe it could be. Yeah, it's probably. It might be a couple there. They've got a nice couple's photo in their avatar. So, but thank you to everyone for your lovely comments, and we are very appreciative to the Aussie arm wrestler Jake Ward for coming on the show. Always a pleasure, an absolute professional, and a man who's done more in the arm wrestling world and seen probably about the biggest events, more behind the scenes stuff than I think anybody else in the world would have been involved with. So what an absolute legend. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Jake. What's next for you?
Work, man. Just grind. I've actually entered a nationwide competition. Stay tuned about that. Could be big things coming up. And I'm running a giveaway on my channel. You can win actual money on my channel.
What, real money?
Real money?
I'm doing giveaways. It's time to give back. So I'm doing giveaways on my channel.
Fantastic.
Okay, so people should head over to your channel, of course, and make sure to get some of that cash, even if it's just Australian money, as it turns out.
That's all right. It's better than not having it.
That's exactly right. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. The Aussie arm wrestler, Jake Ward!